Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chat with Sandy and Karen. I am here with two of my best friends, two awesome women,
Oh,
Anissa Jones and Sandy Bansal, and we are just having a chat today. Um, Let me this little message here. Really, Sandy, do you want to just say hey to the folks?
hello everyone. Nice to hear you listening to us. I don't know. It's quite late for me today. It's dark. It's cold. Ready for bed.
Awesome. Well, that's it's so different. See, normally we're in two continents, but today we added a third. So, Anissa, tell us what continent are you from?
I am. So I'll just say, what are me, everybody? And I am in Australia. It is 7 a.m. So caffeine is highly rated at this time of the morning. And I am in the middle of many things in life, including moving house.
Yes.
Wow.
Awesome.
Anissa, what are you drinking?
Black coffee, because I haven't got any milk at the moment.
Well, I think that time of the morning you need all the caffeine, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us at this hour. So, will this mean you're going to be an empty nester?
Yes. I'm
Wow.
so excited. It's 27 years in the making. Trust me, it's a good thing.
That's true. It's a whole different life. And then you look at your husband and you think, oh, we got to get to know each other again.
Well, I love my children dearly, but I'm happy to see them go and do their own thing in life. To uni. One looking at the middle child, only boy looking at business and IT now, because he's finally been, moving has finally made him go, oh God, I've got to be an adult at 21. So, So the youngest is 17 going into uni, and the oldest is 26 going into uni. So thank God.
Awesome.
So the years are different, are they, in Australia compared to, I don't know, is it the USA the same? Because for us, it's usually September start till the following June. That's our year.
Yeah, no, we start in late January, early February, depending on the calendar.
Could you try again?
Oh, yeah,
I love Siri. Hi, Siri.
I'm not sure I understand.
I could. No, I'm not going to. We have holiday. We start our school from maybe around the 1st of February, and we go all the way through till about a week before Christmas. And that's our school year. So your summer is our winter, which I absolutely despise. I'm not a cold person. I hate the cold. But our summers are pretty good, minus any bushfires. But east coast of Australia is down on bushfires this year, thank God. But the western side have been hit with not only that, but the lovely COVID-19 strain that's been in hospitals. So so the whole city's locked down, and then they've got bushfires just outside of town. So it's really good.
Wow.
Australia can be a very interesting place to live, and there's a video, I think I sent it to Karen once, saying come to Australia where you might accidentally get killed, and it talks about all the animals that can kill you in Australia, and it's set to a song. And honest to God, I mean, last night we were taking something out of the garage and there was a redback spider. Now they're pretty bad. And they don't like the cold, which is even funnier, but he was in Canberra, so he got squished very quickly.
Yeah.
We get brown snakes, and where I moved to is where they have a lot of the orchards for cherries and poor Sandy's face. They have brown snakes. And brown snakes, we have I think out of the top 10 lethal snakes, I think we have 8 in Australia. Yeah, we're pretty. it's a lethal country to come to. I don't know. I'm just saying.
You,
We got
Wow.
we got jellyfish that'll get you. We got stingrays. We've got stonefish, spiders, snakes. We don't have drop bears, and everyone thinks that's funny. They're really not true. There's no evil koalas that will drop from the trees and kill you.
oh,
They're really
Okay.
sweet.
you still just talked me out of coming to visit you, though. I'm sorry.
Well, I used to live in the States many centuries ago. I think it was over 20 years ago, but that was the East Coast, and it was cold. So I
Yeah.
don't think I'll go back.
Yeah, don't go east. Come west. Come west. It's warmer. And south.
Oh, God, yeah.
You'll like it.
Get some good food.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
What, in Australia or in America?
Oh, I'll go to Texas because I've been not able to eat spicy food because I've got IBS. But I'm hoping that by the time I get everything sorted out and we can go back safely, then I can go have some spicy food with Karen.
Yes.
If not,
We'll
I'll
take
take
it
something.
easy on you. Yeah. That's
So,
awesome.
Anissa, I'm looking at the map. I've seen where Canberra is. It's south of Sydney.
Yes.
But you're in what, a more remote place, or are you more inland?
Yeah. So if you search for Wagga, so WAGGA, I'm close to there. Like it's yeah. It's
Okay. Searching right now.
But
Without
I
giving
have to
away-
ask you, why? Why? What's the internet like? As the more you go inland, because I heard it's like
well, we have really bad
There's-
internet everywhere. Like
Yeah.
my phone service, if I go through certain towns, I have no service. This is 21st century Australia, folks. And our internet, we are pretty bad. Like we have third world country internet. I'm going to shame the government because
Wow.
it sucks. But in certain places, but I'm in Canberra at the moment and I'm still attached to my NBN one, and so it's doing pretty good. When I stream my classes online, because I deliver online a lot, in Canberra, easy as in my home in the country, not so much. So it can, freeze or whatever. So I have a backup plan when I teach online.
Yeah.
But it's nicer, it's quieter, it's just less rat race. It's so much more relaxing. And and it's just, I needed to do that because I think Canberra's, even though everyone says, oh, Sydney's pretty rat race, and I'm from Sydney, Canberra, because it's where all the politicians visit. I made that clear to everybody. They visit. They don't live here. Everyone assumes we're really busy. It's almost like Washington, D.C. in a sense, like, where you've got your Senate and all that sort of stuff. But here, they just come and visit and then they go away again. And then we are all in the news of, in Canberra, this has happened, in Canberra. And so we get a lot of slack. And I'll be thankful that I don't have to put up with that in about 6 hours.
That's
so
awesome.
you're having a big house party, field party.
Oh, can't wait. Can't wait. If we
With
could light fireworks, I would, but we can't. They're illegal. So,
Yeah.
It sucks.
But you can
But
invite all those spiders and the snakes and everyone.
Mice.
You'll have a mice.
There's a mice plague heading our way too, so it's even better. It's like, it's almost biblical. It's like Australia's been caught in this biblical time warp. We've had,
Oh my gosh.
seriously, I love this country, but oh my God, there's some crazy things that go on here. But snakes aren't too bad. Snakes aren't too bad unless you're in the orchards just down the road. But you can climb the ladder and then look down and there'll be a brown snake on the ground. So yeah, no. Yeah.
Wow.
And a lady caught she went into her pajama drawer the other day and put her hand on something, went, that doesn't feel right. Anyway, she called out the snake catcher. It was a red belly black, which is venomous as well. So it was because of the bushfires. They're all coming into the houses to survive.
Yeah.
And and she actually touched it and it moved slightly. So she figured it was alive. But yeah, no.
No, not snakes in the house. No, thank you. No, thank you.
You know, as a kid, I used to watch Neighbours and love the program. Always wanted to go to Australia. But you know what? I don't need to go.
Well, us in New Zealand are doing pretty good in the COVID stakes, so you might want to just to escape for a little while. No, it's not bad. It's just you've just got to be very aware of the animals that are around. But there's some, the politicians are far more dangerous, I think, at times.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty profound right there. Yeah, I suppose if you're aware of your surroundings, and you don't have a lot of things stacked up and places for them to hide, I suppose it'd be all right.
Yeah.
My garage would not be a good place because I have way too much stuff in there. So I don't think I could live there. But maybe visit one of those big cities, the big cities that scare all the critters away.
You'd be fine, I promise.
Okay. Maybe if they ever let us cruise again, we'll take a cruise down there.
Oh, yeah, no, it's just
no snakes on a cruise, right?
Well, there was a movie on a Snakes on a Plane. They might make a sequel. Snakes on a Cruise.
No.
Yeah,
no. Snakes on a cruise. That's terrible. Terrible thought.
I mean.
Okay, so let's talk education other than critter education. So tell us what are you what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you teaching?
Well, many things. Currently I'm working for TAFE New South Wales, which is a vocational education provider, and I deliver online the Diploma of Aboriginal Studies for 2 classes now. So we've got 2 cohorts running different nights. So I teach 4 nights a week at the moment. And I'm possibly going into the iProud program, which is to get Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people into the police force and give them the literacy and numeracy supports. And what I should have said earlier is that my mob are Boorooberongal Darug from the Hawkesbury River in New South Wales. So I have a bit of knowledge on that, not as much as some people, my elders, but I do have some knowledge. And so I'm passing that on. And then I also have my Google Innovator project, which is Indigenise EDU, which is about upskilling teachers in cultural capabilities, not cultural awareness or integrity, but in capabilities to make them more capable of delivering curriculum that is more First Nations people friendly. And I'm trying, and it's getting there. But we've just had Invasion Day, otherwise known as Australia Day, and it's been and it's almost like Columbus Day. So for anyone from America listening, we don't sell it. Aboriginal people, no. So this year has been very more controversial than any other year, and we've had Proud Boys in Australia. We've had going to the peaceful rallies and trying to incite fights. We've had people walking through in colonial garb, British naval soldiers garb and in the streets. We've had every other year it's been pretty peaceful, but this year was just ridiculous. And it's you get exhausted. It's like it's the first week teachers in Canberra go back, and I'd been at work for 2 weeks in TAFE, but I was exhausted by the next day. I didn't really didn't want to go to work, and because I was too tired and emotionally drained from the whole day. But if the goal is I get one teacher to change the way that they deliver and they're more aware, because Aboriginal people are, if you think about it, everyone has to speak English, everyone has to, communicate in English here. But, we talk Creole, we have Aboriginal English. Some kids, particularly in the top end, can speak 6 languages, and English is their 6th language, and that's after they've got all the dialects in their areas. And, so testing them in English is not always the best way to find out if they're literate and numerate. And a lot of our national testing says, you know, they're at the bottom of the totem pole. And I think it's mainly because of the delivery. We learn through seeing, doing, asking questions. And in Australia, I don't know why, but if you ask questions too much because you want to clarify knowledge, your teachers get a bit cross with you. And I ask too many questions in staff meetings at time, and I've been told, oh, no, we'll talk about it. I'm like, no, I want to know why. Like, I want to understand where you're coming from to make an informed decision.
Right.
And they're like, no, and it's seen as being rude when it's not. And it's just genuinely wanting to understand. And I think there's that cultural divide that needs to be addressed. And, you know, it's kind of ironic coming on here because last week one of our famous Aboriginal actresses and comedians, and she's a playwright, put on Twitter that she was being asked questions from students in schools about a community side of things for Aboriginal people. Now, she didn't name the school, but the school had given an assessment piece and said, go and ask an Aboriginal person. So all the kids were asking her. And, you know, that's 2021. It's, you know, just because someone's famous and they're Aboriginal doesn't mean that they are the be all end all. And what we do say is go to your local group and speak to the elders there. And I think that's even though that's a small thing, that's a huge problem as well in Australia, is that people haven't had that exposure to Aboriginal education or Aboriginal history. You know, it's a very dark topic. Think Jim Crow for Americans. That sort of time frame, very under marginalized, and you know, it's hard to make change, and it's, you know, not seeing as many Aboriginal teachers in the systems, and I say systems, whether it's vet or education or university, is because if we don't see us, we can't be us. And we don't get there if we don't get the education that we deserve. So it's really important to upskill the teachers. And it's taken me a year of getting it, fine-tuning it.
Yeah.
And I've had people from our National Museum do my course. I've had people from 4 different states in Australia come and do it online with me as well. So I started doing face-to-face, and then, you know, COVID hit. So I had to do it all online, and I prefer now to do it all online. I think it's just so much easier.
Well, do you reach more people now?
Yeah, I think I do, because I had some people from the Queensland University of Technology actually seek me out to run my course as well with them. And so I had to do a 5.5-hour course in 3 hours, which was interesting. But it was really, really good. And, you know, I've moved the one I was supposed to be doing starting the week just gone, you know, I went, nah, no one's going to be fine in the first week of school. So I've moved it a month away, solely to give teachers that time to get into their schools and the new school year. But I get a lot of interest, but I think it's still something that, and I noticed towards the end of the year when, you know, our registrations were due, that a lot of people were, because it's accredited or because of this, they wanted to enroll in it. And I think the meaning behind it gets lost when people just go, I need to get accreditation, I'll just do any course. So I think that there needs to be a little bit more of a clear, this is not something that should be taken lightly. You know, the goal is to try and get it into universities and start there, because I think that's where if we can get the new cohort of teachers coming through, then I think there'll be less issues. And, you know, because teacher training 20 years ago for me was one semester on Aboriginal education. That was it. In some schools, they might get 2 weeks in the classroom on Aboriginal history. And to do it as a comparative. So since Invasion Day colonisation, it's been 250 years roughly. But we've been here for over 60,000 years. So you think about it in the span of a clock, 24 hours, it's an hour. And we're learning about an hour's worth of history that's more important than the 23 hours of history, which is highly relevant. And I think that leads to a lot of the racism and a lot of ignorance and a lot of just trying to think of the word now, stereotyping. So in Australia, you don't have to have very dark skin because they created the White Australia policy, which was breeding out the black. So I take after my mother, who's non-Aboriginal. My son, on the other hand, has got the real thick, wiry hair, the olive skin, and my girls are darker too, whereas I've just got the fairer skin. But it's not about skin; it's about identifying, being connected to your community, and but you still cop it, and sometimes you cop it more. So
yeah.
it's not the best, but yeah.
So one thing I was going to say, it was something that you mentioned just a moment ago. Oh, we were talking about how the reach is more. Oh, the difference between awareness and upskilling. What's the difference in that?
So cultural awareness is just, making yourself more, it's almost like when you do a workplace health and safety check, if that makes sense, to put it in a context. And then you've got integrity, so trying to implement those ideals in the workplace. But I think we're too far behind, and I think with a lot of education, I always make the reference that we're teaching 18th century style in the 21st century. And I think some of the mentalities in that you've got to have integrity. No, you don't. You've got to be capable. You've got to understand and walk in someone else's footsteps. And I think in Canada, I think they had the First Nations people there do a blanket activity in a training session where they kept removing the blankets, and it was so profound, and it really told people about what life was like for First Nations in Canada. And I think I did a similar one with the Australian flag. I put it on the Australian map, and I put it on tape on the floor, and I had the kids be Aboriginal people, and some of them then became the British. And then we moved as we went across, and there was like that much land left, and that only one Aboriginal kid standing there, and all these other people were moved over. And it's a history that needs to be told, and I think once it's told, then we can move forward. But everyone says, "Oh, get over it," and then they'll go and celebrate Anzac Day, which is like Memorial Day or any form of celebration for our soldiers, and it's like, okay. So I think it's just a bit misplaced, and I think trying to change all those mindsets and prejudices is hard. I've had to deal with stuff, and then it's affected me personally, because I'm a type of person, I'll tell the truth and shame the devil. So I'll tell you the truth, and I won't do it in a mean way, but I'll tell you the truth
right.
of the country and First Nations experiences, because I worked in a jail as well earlier on last year, and I actually asked in a men's prison, I was teaching art and cultural art there, and I asked them why were they, what happened with them when they were in school. So I was getting anecdotal evidence from people who went through the system, and when I did a presentation, the feedback told me to read the room because people were angry that they were being made to feel guilty. And my response was, it's not to make you feel guilty, it's meant to make you feel aware. And I think when people start to feel that guilt, then it's mainly because of the actions of themselves, not the actions of anything else. Or I could tell them anything and they'd still feel guilty because of their own behaviours. And so it made me almost quit. And then I had a good friend, shout out to Beck Saunders. I went and told her, and she's not Aboriginal, but her partner and her children are. And she said, don't you dare quit. This is too important. So I felt really bad in myself, thinking, and that's how it goes sometimes here. And I think we've got some amazing Aboriginal educators, amazing Aboriginal people. We've got all these great stories coming out. We've got books. We've got all this sharing of knowledge. And it's just putting teachers in touch with the relevant communities and who to speak to. I've got a mate who does weaving, and she's given me prizes for participants. And Ronnie Jordan's her name, and she does traditional weaving, and I've given out prizes that are Aboriginal books. There's a whole pile of things because I want people to understand that we're not just here. We're actually, very smart people in a different
Contributing.
context. And and there's, we have academic smarts, we have street smarts in the society. I don't think people realise, and since the fires, there's been issues with the cool burn, which is traditionally what Aboriginal people do, and it only does the bottom layer. It doesn't go up the trees and damage anything, and it actually allows for regrowth. And when the fires hit, there was very negative backlash as to, well, why didn't we do traditional burning? So it's still, 21st century, and we're dealing with that 18th century mindset, even in education. So
some of the specific areas in which you help teachers understand the curriculum is the 8 ways of learning, right?
And I've actually streamlined it down to 5, and so I can share through my
send us all the links, and we'll put it, even to your friends who does weaving, if there's anyone who, I bought a boomerang. I was so excited. So just give us links and we'll put it all in the show notes.
And I just, it's the way it is that it's about that visualization. We watch, we have a go, and then we do it on our own sort of way of doing things. And it's about being mindful as well. And I will always go walking on barefoot on my front lawn because it's connection to nature. And there's a lady who, I cannot think of her name now, I'm going to be in trouble for it, but she runs what we call Dariri, which is Aboriginal mindfulness. And it's a way of just being, and you just close your eyes and you listen and you just breathe. And I even get teachers to do that because I think that's an important thing to remember, that we're all connected no matter what we think, and to just have that reflective practice. But it's also about, everyone says, Aboriginal people, what did you invent? You invented nothing. And we go, well, we had the boomerang, which was aerodynamic in physics before physics was known. We're the first bakers. We're the first aquaculturalists. We were growing food and had, farming techniques before even the pyramids were built. So there's a lot of things that I think that the history of this nation needs to be, in particular, awakened. But we're actually quite bright people, and you think about it, the physics of a boomerang coming back. Have a look at it sometime, because these are you think about when it was created, there was no science, no maths, nothing like that. And so it was done, and it's some of the skill behind some of the tools, like the fish traps that they created, were unheard of, and the Boorooberongal fish traps, which is the oldest fish traps in the world, they're in north of where I am right now, so they're north from Canberra, and they are just history that should be embraced and not but people don't know. If they don't know, they're not going to learn about it. So educating people on a lot of stuff across preschool all the way to year 12 in that 5-6 hours is busy, but they come away with a sense of okay, I can apply this in my classroom, because I think that's what teachers want. They want the tips and the tricks, and how, and I know that sounds a bit garish when I'm talking about culture, but they want to know how to do it without offending as well. And some people think that they're offending. So we brainstorm, we go through, well, you could do this. Have you done this? Oh, yes, you have. So you're already doing it. You just don't realize you're doing it. So it's just trying to change that mindset of, I'm going to make a mistake and be rude, or, do I only have to do this course because, I need the hours.
Just try it. Just try it. I mean, and be honest, just go for it, I think.
But still, I think, like you're saying, we're in the 21st century. Why something as important as that still has to be part of history? Why is it not integrated with every subject? Part of everything. This is Australia. This is us. This is what we do. This is, what we have. This, I don't know why there's still these gaps.
I think it has a lot to do with the education system per se, from particularly the 70s, 80s and 90s, but even further down. So, you know, in America they had reservations, and that we had missions. So, you know, and Aboriginal people didn't get educated past year 4. And if you were a white teacher teaching on a mission, you were hounded until you left by the community. And treated quite badly, because why are you educating Aboriginal people? So there's a great book that I use with my diploma class called Aboriginal Australia by Richard Broome, and it talks about all of that. It's one of the best written books on our history ever, and it's in its 5th edition, so it was re-released 2019, and it tells everything. It's not taking sides. It is completely factual, and I love it for that. And but in this country, I think too, is that people don't want to talk about it, and they just want to get over it sort of mentality. But the policies that were put in place, particularly with the stolen generation and so on, are still impacting people today. It's called intergenerational trauma, and it goes from one generation to the next and so on. So I think until we really address the issues here, and we won't with the current government that we've got, so he's hoping in a couple of years, or maybe I think it's next year, I'm hoping, they go, that we'll have someone who'll be willing to, this is a guy who changed one word in our national anthem and thought he was bigwig, It was young and free. Now it's one and free. You can't be one and free. And I'm sorry, but that anthem was written with the White Australia policy in it. It was actually, some of the words are coming from a White Australia policy, and we're like, no. So it's kind of sad that it hasn't changed. We had the apology, and we just had, what is it today? The 7th. So it's coming up this Saturday, next week, is the anniversary of the apology that one of our former Prime Ministers, Kevin Rudd, did for the stolen generation. He actually won the election based on the fact he was going to apologise. So we'd had a previous Prime Minister who was a real interesting person, very racist policies, very racist everything, and then Kevin Rudd came in and literally within 6 months apologised for stealing. Children as young as 6 weeks old were taken from their parents. So, actually there was one in the Bringing Them Home report, it was 3 weeks old. So, there's a lot of healing that needs to happen. But after that, there's a documentary made after the apology, and nothing has changed since Kevin Rudd did that. And so that's really disheartening as well. And I think until we get, people that are, say, my age, so I'm Gen X. So once we get rid of all the boomers, no offense to anyone who is a boomer, but I think that mentality is more likely to be there than it is in Gen X and Gen Y and Gen Z and millennials and blah, blah, blah. Because they grew up in 1950s Australia, 1960s Australia, where, Aboriginal people lived on the fringes of town. And so they were called fringe dwellers. So I think once we get rid of the boomers, from decision making and policy making in this country, I think we'll start to move forward. But I'm not going to hold my breath. So I'm hoping when my grandson is an adult, because he's 3, that he will be able to say, "Yeah, everything's changed." But we can.
Wow, a grandmother too.
I know. I had a child young, and then I finished school, so I I've got like 3 degrees and 2 vet quals, and I'm working on my 3rd vet qual. I'm insane. I'm teaching online, and I'm moving house, and I'm doing another vet qual. I don't know what non-busy life is. So
wow, Karen.
Yeah, right after.
Karen, Anissa's exactly your match in another country. Wow.
Well, it's like, what else are we going to do? We got to learn. We got to keep learning, right?
That's it.
Yeah, got to keep moving. I really, really appreciate you coming on and just sharing what you're doing and the positive steps that you're taking to correct things. You're actually doing something, and that's one thing I tell my friends sometimes is that let's do something about this, not just complain about it. Let's just do something about this. So I really appreciate you for coming on. Sandy, were you going to say something?
No,
Okay.
thank you, Anissa, for taking your time, joining both Karen and I on the show. We are very honoured that you have shared your experiences with us. And I feel like there's a lot more you want to share with us.
Oh, there's so much more.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we thank you to all the listeners out there too. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at ChatWSK1. Find us and subscribe to our channel on Spotify, Google, and Apple to hear more about what is going on in education on both sides of the pond, plus the third side, if there is.
Third wheel.
And the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anissa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll keep in touch. Remember, send all the links and we'll put them all in the notes.
I will.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.